Welcome back to Wealth and Wellness with Grace. On today's video, I get to share with you what's been shaking up the real estate industry. And this is because of the latest lawsuit. Lately, NAR and these big box brokerages, including Keller Williams, Remax, and these other big box brokerages have been fined $1.78 billion by sellers, 500,000 sellers to be exact, because of inflating commissions and also violating the Sherman Antitrust Act. So you might ask, okay, what is this about? What is this Sherman Antitrust Act? So that act was supposed to protect fair trading and also to avoid price fixing. So, for you out there who doesn't understand all these terms, normally as realtors, say for example you're selling a house, right? I might approach you, hey seller, how are you doing? I'd like to assist you sell your house. Previously, what we used to do, because things are going to change from now on. So previously, how we would go about it, I'd find out, okay, everything I need to find out about this house, the neighborhood, run the comps, and also in running the comps, I also find out about the commissions. What are other agents in that neighborhood charging for commissions? And also, what are they sharing with the buyer's agent or buyer's brokerage? Because it's literally the commission goes to the broker. So what are they sharing? Because that's accessible to the multi-listing service, the MLS. So now, when I find out exactly how much they're offering other buyers in that particular neighborhood, then I have to include my particular commission as a listing agent. And so I approach my seller and I tell them this is what I'll be charging, because commissions are negotiable. They're not fixed. I've accepted 2% commission. Okay, it also depends on what is going on with that property. If it's a hard to sell property, of course, you're gonna demand more because you have to do more to promote that property and everything else we do as realtors. So you have to also think about that stuff, the negotiation, the marketing, the photography, all those tasks matter because we have to pay for it. And so initially, how we used to handle it, now the sellers said that they did not understand that they actually could opt out from paying the buyer brokerage. So which means as a buyer, this is really important to you because now you might be required to pay your own commissions. Before, it was negotiable and it was put in the contract whereby it ended up being the seller paying for it because it was all together. The commissions were all together. Now, literally, we have to separate it. The seller will agree to pay such and such commission to the listing agent who's representing the seller. And then the seller will agree to pay even zero because they get to choose what they want to do. So it will be up to you, the buyer, to be a savvy buyer, especially in this economy. And now that's taken care of, now let's discuss how this affects you as the buyer, first of all. So before, when the sellers were very willing to help compensate the buyer's agents and brokerage, guess what? Now you have to think about how are you going to compensate the buyer's agent as well as the buyer's brokerage for their services, because this is a job. I understand those shows out there, okay, millionaire listing, selling Sunset, selling Tampa, selling this, everybody's selling something. Guess what? They make it so easy, okay? They make it look so easy to get into. Literally, they just walk out stage and do a few things here and there, get into a negotiation. They don't even negotiate. Everybody pays full price. And then they show you this big check. And in people's minds, they think, okay, this is all they're doing, just showing a house and somebody puts in an offer just like that. It's not what it seems. We do a lot more. than actually they show on TV. I had to, when I became an agent, right? It's easy until you're doing it. You know that saying? It's right. Because it was so easy watching them on TV, and I thought it would be easy for me. But no, it's not that easy, and you have to put in the work. So we've been putting in a lot of work and also advocating for your buyers all along. But since you don't see the behind the scenes and us negotiating with other agents such that we get paid to assist you in the transaction, you didn't see that before. And now you're going to see it, because we're going to start demanding a retainer. Because then if I don't have a retainer, I'm not going to represent you, because who's paying me? It has to be fair. I have bills. I have a household to run. You see, I can't just work for free, which we've been working for free all along. Let's even go there. Previously, I can say this year, 5 clients. I had 5 clients in December who are all pre-approved. I helped them with credit. I helped them with all consultations, showed them houses, pre-approved, but they just could not make the decision to decide on the house, right? It was one reason after another. And so end of December, I went on vacation. I said I'd send them information about, okay, all the houses that were in their price points. And I was like, let me know. As soon as you make the decision, I can always send one of the agents in my brokerage to go show you that house. All of them like, we'll wait, no worry, 1 week only, we'll wait. Until when I come back, okay, after my vacation, I email all of them, I'm ready, I'm back, what's going on, let's go and buy. And all of them are like, oh, we'll wait, okay. Some of them used up all their down payment, okay. Some of them, one actually went with another agent. Less than a week, you see, we decided to go with another agent. And this is somebody who had assisted for months, showed houses for months. And 1 week, that's all it took. And yet I literally communicated with them prior to going to my vacation. And I shared this message with them. And you know, they even have the decency to reach out and tell me that we went with another agent, until I kept calling multiple times, trying to figure out what, did they fall off on the face of the earth? What happened? Come to find out they went with another agent, and they were too ashamed to even tell me, because they're guilty. Knowing that I put out all this information, they were skeptical about purchasing, and I pushed them and I encouraged them. I educated, put out so much effort out there for them, putting in so much for them so they could win. And yet, for them, they didn't see it like that. They thought it was just about a commission. And yet, for me, I'd invested way more than just what the commission was going to be. So those are things that we've been seeing in the background that has been actually free of charge. So I gotta warn you, enjoy this video and all these videos that I'm posting, because it's not gonna be free consultations no more. It's gonna be charged. So when people are giving you information, appreciate it while you can, because it's not gonna be free anymore, sorry. We're gonna put you all on retainers. Kisa Consultants is an LLC, and it needs its retainer. So when I send you that invoice, don't think it's a joke. You gotta pay that invoice before you show up to the appointment. Okay, because like other professions, they do that. And you pay faithfully. So anyways, moving on to the next point, okay? Another thing is gonna be a challenge to buyers in us. You have to come up with way more money. So in addition to the down payment. Because before, all the buyers were doing, oh, I just have to bring such and such down payment. The seller is going to agree to pay such and such. Maybe they agree to 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 towards your down payment, or towards, also, we already negotiated representing the buyer. So you didn't have to pay for that. And now we got to put that price on top of what you're already going to pay, unfortunately. So that's literally going to push a lot of buyers out of the market, unfortunately, I hate to say. But we have to plan for that. Start planning early. Stop waiting, because a lot of people have been waiting. I'm encouraging them, let's buy, let's do this. I want to wait till next year when interest rates are low. Okay, keep waiting until interest rates come low where you're not able to buy. That's all I'm going to tell you. When you're never going to be able to buy, because now you're going to have to pay another cost, which is going to be realtor fees on top of that. So you need to be, before they make all these changes, you need to go in the market and buy. I'm just telling you, because I'm trying to buy. I'm a realtor too, and I'm trying to buy. What does that tell you? That things are going to change, and some of them might not be for the better for you especially. You might end up paying way more or never be able to purchase. So I'm sorry if this is a scary tactic. It's not. So some of the buyers, I'm sure, are out there saying, no, we don't need buyer's agents, right? We don't need you to represent us. We can just go with the seller's agent or the listing agent. The problem with that is you are not represented. The dual agent, who acts as both the agent for the buyer and the seller, really most likely represents the seller, because literally the seller hired them. So even if they sign that document, I've done that. I went dual agent once, and still a year later, I realized that that particular agent did not represent me the way they should have if they were my own agent. Because they're literally just trying to go through the transaction, and they get both sides of the commission. So they didn't really have a lot to represent me. You see, and I accepted whatever terms. But if they represented me, they would have advocated for my best interest. So think about that. So if you're thinking I'm just going to do away with the buyer's agent, I'm sorry to tell you, your interest won't be protected. So think about that differently and carefully before you make that determination. Last but not least is there's going to be increased transparency. Okay, so which is a good thing. Okay, we all like transparency. And that also includes whatever we had as pocket listings. Okay, sometimes we have pocket listings where like we keep this listing for a certain time in the brokerage. That might be done away with. So that means you're going to be able to see all these properties on the market 24 hours as soon as the agent has that contract. They have to be up on the market so that you have access to them. So that's good to have that transparency, and you'll probably see more properties on the market than right now or what you saw previously. However, think about all the points I mentioned, because that's going to help you in the long term, and plan accordingly. And also, even if I mentioned that you still have to pay a retainer or start planning for it, trust me, paying a retainer is going to save you in the long run, because that consultation will definitely help you and protect your interests. So when people have these home buyer seminars and all these seminars where they're giving out free information, you need to utilize that seriously, because that might be your only chance to really get this first-hand information for free. Because I'm always putting out home buyer seminar. I did one this year, and I'll probably do one beginning of the year, but you need to attend, especially if you're around. And if you're not around, I have recordings on this channel. So enjoy some of these recordings, because they're going to help you protect your interests. And now let's talk about the sellers. How is this suit going to impact sellers? We talked about transparency. So the seller will actually know exactly who they are paying what, which we discussed that for the most part. But for some particular case, the seller said they were not aware, which I understand. And I don't know what other lawsuits are going to come after this, because then when one thing happens, then it's like a snowball effect. Another thing, you see? So I really don't know what the changes are going to be after this. The problem is you just have to be knowledgeable too as a seller. Stop blaming everybody else. I didn't know this. You see, that's simple. Look it up. How do I sell a house? They will tell you in that document that you have to pay some commission. And how do I go about paying this commission? That's all asking. Ask questions. Don't just take people's word for it. If somebody says, oh, charge this, you see, ask them to give you a breakdown. Why are you charging this versus somebody else who's charging that? You see, we got to ask these questions ahead of time, such that you don't have regrets later. And also, I'm going to say, you need to consider seller's insurance at this point. Because if a buyer is not represented, because I mentioned in the buyer's house, sometimes buyers are going to opt for door agency, and most buyers might not be able to afford pay buyers brokerage commission. So they might just go, maybe you sell for sale by owner. Do you know they might come after you years or months later and say that you didn't explain certain things, you didn't have this, you didn't have that. As a seller, you need to protect your interest. You might have to consider what kind of insurance you can get for that when it happens. And even buyers too at this point. You might also consider buyer's insurance. You see? So everybody gonna have to cover themselves at this point. And just as realtors, we have errors and omission insurance. If something happens, especially if we are not negligent, we can use that insurance to cover us. So you need to get your own insurance, seriously, to cover yourself as a seller, as a buyer, as an investor, right? Another thing which can actually come out of this to help sellers is they don't have to pay a lot for commissions. But that's a catch-22. Let me explain. So even if the sellers choose not to pay for the buyer's agent commission, guess what happens? What happens is sometimes when you list your property, people are looking to see how are we going to get paid. So if I go on the MLS, it shows me exactly what the commission structure is. I'm going to get 5%, or I'm going to get 2%, I'm going to get 1%. And now they're talking about you can even put $1 or 0. So literally most agents are probably going to first go to swoop. If I'm getting 0, I'm going to reach out to my client. How much are you paying me for commissions before I represent you? Because then that's going to be a big issue right there. Especially if somebody doesn't really have a lot, especially saved for down payment. And now you got to think about inspections. Now you got to think about appraisal. So all that is going to add up. So whereby your property might not be as attractive to a lot of buyers, especially if they can't afford to add that extra agent commission on top of everything else. So you have to think about that. How serious are you to selling your property? Do you want to sell now or do you want to wait? Because I've seen so many people who do that. They start with, we'll pay 1%. The property stays on the market months, so many months pass by. Then they go to 2%. Still months, and then they go to 3%. Whatever you think is going to be more attractive to that agent so that they can keep showing your property, so that they don't have to charge their clients the extra, and the client will be more open to putting that offer on your property. So it's up to how you're looking at it. Because initially I used to also wonder, I used to think, why do sellers have to pay for buyer's commissions? But I had to realize there's a trick to that. There's a science to it. You see, because you have to be fair. Because if this buyer can't afford it, they're not going to put an offer in your property to buy it. And so maybe eventually what lenders can start doing is also to include the commission into the price, especially in the mortgage payments, not the price, in the mortgage payments for the buyer, to make it easier for the buyers to afford to pay for their representation, because that will definitely help them in the long run. But then also, if you think about that, you're paying more interest every month because of something that happened, one transaction that you could have paid for, you're paying way more over time. So think about that carefully. And I'm hoping that sellers actually compromise, because this is going to be very tough on buyers as well as sellers. I hope we can reach a compromise, because just because you can, it doesn't mean you should. So think about that carefully, and please let me know what you think in the comments below. And I want to share a few things about realtors, okay? Because this is going to be a dramatic change in our industry. And I know some of you are out there discouraged. Just know that if you continue communicating information with transparency, authenticity, guess what? It will all come to work out in your favor. because I've always shared information authentically. If the client doesn't believe it, oh well. If they don't, that's it, but I share that information with them at least. You see? Because sometimes we sugarcoat everything, make it so easy for them, and then that's why they get buyer's remorse. I over-educate my clients. That's why I have these videos. You see, watch all these videos where I share my first year as a real estate agent, all the things I learned. You see, and also what I shared, what the things I didn't expect when I became a real estate agent. All those are lessons. So start thinking about and putting together your own lessons and learn from them. And start hearing other people's perspectives. Do your own research. And the other thing I have to also take away from this is also have your plan B. Because I don't know exactly how everything is going to work itself out. However, it looks like most of us are now going to be able to work as efficiently in this business. So you need to start having a plan B. I've been advocating for this since I started, because when I started, I was already an investor. So I have at least other rentals. So as agents, if you have your own plan B, and I know you might think, okay, I don't want to invest in rentals. It's so tough. I hear this a lot. I hate tenants. Okay, I understand. However, you can have something else as a plan B to fall back on, because we really don't know exactly all the changes that are coming in the future. And continue going to your ethics classes, because that's a big thing. That's why we have the router symbol, because then that's a trademark for the NAR, whereby we are paying fees to have ethics in this industry. So continue attending those ethics classes and also being ethical. You see, treat people the way you would like to be treated, and everything will work itself out. Otherwise, just continue to be strong and also continue advocating for your clients, because they need us more than ever. I hope you learned a thing or two out of this video. I know there are so many unanswered questions out there. Please reach out if you have questions at 985-269-6615. And also, you can also email me or reach out on my social media handles. Comment in the comments below. Subscribe, more importantly, because I want to be able to share more content like this. And also share that you subscribe so I can personally send you a welcome. Until next time.